The name of the exercise was Low Country Response 2017. We conduct these exercises annually so that we can test our competence at responding to various threats. The scenario here today was an active shooter with hostage situation. The active shooter actually moved from his original location to another one, and he had to be surrounded, subdued, and mitigated, and then the patients or victims cared for and taken to follow-on care. It's a pertinent threat. In prior years we've had hazardous material releases or fires or explosions, but with the current situation in the world, we try to train for all threats, and that was just the one on the plate this year.
Is that why?
Well, that's why we train, so that we are ready in case the unexpected and the tragic would happen on the base. We try to work together. We coordinate with Provost Marshal's office and the fire department, the Emergency Operations Center, outside departments, and mutual aid departments around the base. So this brings us together, so we have that network together already established, so that when something does happen, we can easily start filling in the blanks and move an operation through. Provost Marshal's office has different units, special reaction teams, criminal investigation division, the actual patrolmen who keep the base safe. The fire department has advanced level paramedics who can provide advanced care. We also have all of our firefighters are basic level or EMTs that provide basic care. All the units of the base should be tested along these lines. So the shelter in place for an active shooter for all of the active duty Marines and the recruits, the response at the gate, environmental responses for securing off the perimeter of the island for waterway traffic in these instances. It pretty much tests everyone on the base. Well, it did show me that there was really good coordination between the law enforcement and the fire during the exercise. We got together in the EOC and responded well. There's always going to be room for improvement. Communication is always an area you can improve in. Radio communication, because everyone's trying to talk at the same time, and you can only take in so much information at once, but you're trying to paint that picture of what's going on. It's going to be an issue of improvement in any endeavor. Find someone who, an emergency responder or someone in authority, and report it. If you see something that looks out of place, chances are it probably is. And while you're trying to figure out if it actually is out of place, something terrible can happen. If you see something that's out of place, you should, if you see something, say something like the sign says, but if you see something out of place, find someone to report it. I'm the Assistant Fire Chief of Operations for the Emergency Services on the depot. I have a counterpart, but whenever we're on duty, we're in charge of the 16 to 18 emergency responders that respond for fire and EMS, rescue, hazmat, and that. In coordination with PMO to support their efforts, we showed up on the scene at the operations post to lend medical support, fire support, as in fire suppression support, and help them to keep track of the wounded that were being pulled away from the scene, and then transporting them to follow-on care at surrounding hospitals or clinics. And that was my position.
Okay, Rick Scott, R-I-C-K-S-C-O-T-T, the team leader of the Marine Corps Installations Command Regional Exercise Team.
Okay, and can you give me a little background, what does the Regional Exercise Team do?
We support all Marine Corps installations east of the Mississippi with all hazard exercises.
So can you describe for me what the scenario was for today's exercise? Right,
so the scenario for today was based on a graduation scenario. The depot hosts 40-some graduations a year, so that's obviously a big event where you're bringing a lot of public onto the installation, which is usually, something a little abnormal for a Marine Corps installation to host the public like that. So it's an event where there's obvious security threats, so you want to just make sure all of your procedures and policies are with regard to security, or you're testing those and exercising them, and looking for areas for improvement. Right. So what we had was a disgruntled Marine who came onto the depot to carry out an attack, essentially. that started in his headquarters, but then ended up in affecting a Family Day event. Okay, so obviously there's individual tactics with the fire department and the police department. There are individual tactics in responding to an emergency, but we also like to take the opportunity to look at how those groups work together as a team to respond to a more complex incident. Fortunately, these types of incidents don't happen on a regular basis, so you have to take an opportunity to train when you can to make sure you know each other's tactics and you can communicate with each other, but also pass information up the chain of command, for strategic planning and decision making.
What would you say is the most important lesson that the participants took out of this today?
It's always working together, because you probably do have opportunities here because of the Family Day events to work together more than some other areas, but that opportunity to to meet people that you don't work with on a regular basis before an emergency, understand how each other works and learn to work with each other during an exercise is very valuable.